Coffee always, always, always tastes better when you drink it out of Iron Man's head. Trust me on that. All right. For all of you watching, welcome. And for those of you not watching, welcome as well. We're going to do our screen share here. And then we will get to building. So give me just a moment. Get this set up here. Alright, hope everybody's got their coffee, because we have ours, and as soon as we get done sharing it out to our groups here, we are going to be continuing down the Mark IV road. So give me just a second here. Hope everybody had a good week. Alright. Sorry, we've got a few groups we need to kick this out to, and then we'll be in business. Today we're going to work on the back and the cod and the shoulders. Oop, sorry. I know we've got some 3D printing fans out here. Had a good conversation with the manufacturer of my 3D printer, so we're going to be cranking that baby up here. Ordered a new build plate system because mine broke. So yeah, we're going to be doing all kinds of new stuff here. Exciting stuff. So give me 1 second. We're almost done here. Go. Gotta share it out to our Ironman groups here, because we are working on an Ironman suit today. It's made out of foam. Oop, shoot. I want to make sure I don't share it out to the wrong groups. People in the garage sale groups be going like, what? Is he selling an Ironman suit? Alright, alright, alright. Alright, alright, alright. Sorry, I've got about 40 groups that I share this out to, so it does take a minute or two. Oh yes, thank you, thank you. Yes, that is one of my favorite suits as well. That is the wrong helmet. I will admit that before somebody else points it out. And the story behind that is somebody needed a helmet, and we were actually doing a Mark 17 build for them, and Mr. Todd, yes, actually we do. Star Wars related. What is the Star Wars commission in question? And again, if you missed it earlier, coffee does taste better out of Iron Man's head than any other container. So, I think this came from Target. Yes, actually, Mr. Todd, tell you what, let's do this. Send me a private message or a messenger message, whatever they call it, and let's have a conversation about it. But yes, you're actually the second person in recent weeks to ask me about a Star Wars commission. I'm assuming it's Mandalorian related, would be my guess. Not that it has to be, I'm just guessing. Okay, let's pull out our box of parts, or boxes, and pull out everything we need to build our backplate. Full custom Stormtrooper. Nice, okay. Yeah, private message. If you're not a member of, or a fan of Laughing Dragon, that'd be a place to start. Go ahead and shoot me. Well, that's a departure from the most of what's happening now. It seems like everybody's caught up on these Mandalorian builds. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, shoot me a. First of all, if you're not a fan of Laughing Dragon, fan us there, and then you can either send the page a message, or you can send it to me directly, James Spears, and we will have a conversation about what you're looking for, and go from there. Alright, those are mostly shoulder and cod pieces, so we'll come back to those. I want to work on the back plate today, because for those of you who have been hanging out with us, you know we already did the chest plate, which is right here. We've got our chest plate built, so it'd be nice to get the back plate built, so then we can join the two together. Okay, so I think, with the exception of two smaller pieces, that might be everything. Alright, we don't need that. Not yet. That'll be for the cod. There we go. Those are the pieces we're looking for. The two small pieces I was referring to. And now we have all of our pieces that we need. Tzofnat Gonan. Yeah, that was my best pronunciation of that. I'm going to assume that means good morning, and good morning right back to you. Alright, Ironman coffee engaged. Alright, let's go ahead and drop our camera here down to the table. Maybe. Nope. Wrong button, sir. Alright, well, it's not cooperating. There we go. You bet. Thank you, sir. Yes. Alright, so we're going to lay out our pieces here. And you know what? Let's do this. Let's raise our camera up. I moved the cameras around a little bit yesterday, so I was shooting some different things. Alright. Should be able to see everything you need to up there on the table. Okay. So, as usual, we're going to lay out our pieces in the order in which we assemble them. So let's go ahead and I'm going to move some things around here, move some other things off the table. Good morning, Mr. Nelson. Thank you for joining us. And who's this James guy that you speak of? My name's Tony. Working in a cave from a box of scraps. Literally, guys. Literally. Gals, guys. Box of scraps, right? I'm building an Ironman suit from a box of scraps. Alright. Yay. Just had to say that. Didn't have to, wanted to. Mr. Nelson here is a oil painting artist extraordinaire. You guys, if you haven't seen some of his work, maybe he'll throw a link in here for you so you can take a look at it if you're into oil painting. Little wet on wet technique. Actually, I don't think it, I don't know, actually, now that I said that. What is your technique, Mr. Nelson? You want to share with us? And by the way, just so everybody knows, I've mentioned this before. I'm going to toss these back in the box. I have built a number of these suits, but I don't work on them, you know, every week or every month. So, at least not as much as I used to. So occasionally, I may be a little fuzzy as to which pieces go where. When we run into that situation, it's always good to have a reference on hand that we can flip it around and take a look at where these pieces go. This happens to be a Mark VI, but the back and a large part of the other pieces that make up this particular model of suit are the same. So that way we don't accidentally assemble things backwards like I actually have done with a back piece before. And then it was like, what was I thinking? Alright, so these go here. These go in the center. This actually goes on the outside. Like so. This goes in the middle back. I think I'm going to need another table, huh? No, not really. We'll just move this stuff out of the way here. Oop. Ironman was out a little late last night, as you can tell. Can't stand up too well there. Alright. So this piece here, I like to build the sides first, and then glue everything together in the center. So I'll tell you what, let's do this. This isn't going to be as easy just to lay everything out like I usually do. We want to build these two. I like to call them shoulder rails. So we're going to build these out first. So we got a rail here. This piece goes here, and then one of these pieces goes. I believe it's this one here. Goes on the other side to make that right rail, and then we're going to glue up this one over here for the left rail. So let's lay down some glue. There we go. Chuck Nelson Fine Art at Etsy. Yes, he paints a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool pictures. Airplanes are my favorite. I'm still waiting for a Marvel-themed fight scene. Maybe Iron Man and Thanos duking it out. Alright, so there is our first piece. Let's get both sides here. Now this goes all the way down this side here. So we're just going to do the entire side. We'll probably need 2 coats of glue on this if I've got my guess right. because this is the more absorbent foam that we get from Harbor Freight. It's still a good foam, but it can be a little absorbent, which means we usually need a couple of layers of glue. The first one, of course, to prime the piece, and then the second layer, of course, to make everything stick together permanently. Oops. Getting a little glue on my leg. Actually, I missed my leg, fortunately. Alright, so those are primed. Let's go ahead and move over to our other side here. As always, make sure you got your fans on, as I do right now, because it can get a little smelly if you don't. Okay. Wipe off the excess glue. Now I'm going to prime as many pieces as I can while we're waiting for these pieces to dry on their first coat, because we'll probably need to prime everything, so we can go ahead and at least get that first layer on there and out of the way while we're waiting for everything else to dry. Let's go ahead and do that. Now the outer piece is actually glued to the top of this piece, so I'm just going to give this a bead of glue here down the top side on the edge, like that. Same thing here. You'll see when we put it all together how it goes together. Okay. Alright. I'm going to bend this open so we can get a good layer of glue on the inside of this seam. That one. Okay. Giving everything a good primer coat here. And I think our original pieces are probably close to being ready for their second coat. So we'll go ahead and give this a piece here. I like to keep everything as symmetrical as possible as we work through it. So let's go ahead and give this a quick primer layer. We'll set it aside. Try not to touch anything else. And now let's go back to our original pieces. Yes, they are ready. They've dried off. So let's go ahead and hit it with another coat. This will be the final coat that we'll use to stick everything together. And there's that piece. On to the other side. All right, last two pieces here. At least for the, oh, this one's still a little damp. Only in spots. I think we'll be all right. Let's go ahead and yeah, I might have just gotten it on there a little thick in a couple of spots. There we go. And then last but not least, all right. Okay. So there is our two shoulder rails. We've got some of these other pieces primed up. I move kind of quick when it comes to the gluing, so I don't know if they're really ready for their second coat just yet. Yeah, that was still a little juicy. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and prime up a couple more pieces while we're waiting. Move that ruler out of my way. So I've got another Mark IV that we're putting the final touches on that I haven't really shown you guys. It's in the garage right now. Gold paint is drying. Probably put on some red this afternoon in between streams. Let's see, where does this piece go? This drops down. Alright, this is surrounding too. So I'm going to prime this edge up. So this afternoon stream, which will be 4 to 6, I'll go ahead and bring that in and show you where we're at with the paint on that. We do have a helmet, arc reactor, and gloves that we need to get ready for that suit. Same as this one, but like I said, that other one, the objective is to get that in the mail this week. Alright, so here we are. Got one more piece that I want to track down. It looks like we're short one piece. Looks like we might be short a piece. Good news is we have plenty of foam. So if it's not on the table here, then we'll just have to cut a fresh one. Alright, let's grab our templates and we'll do just that. Got the box of templates. Yeah, so we've got one of these pieces, but we need two. So I'm going to grab my collection of back templates here. I was trying not to take them all out of the box, but I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and take them all out of the envelope. I'll just take them out until we find it. Watch, of course, it's always the last one you take out, right? It's always the last one. These back in there. Always put your templates back so you don't lose them. Alright, so we've got that side. We need to flip it over for the other side. Fortunately, it's just straight cuts. So nothing too complicated. Let's grab our knife. We'll move these pieces off to the side just for the time being. We'll move Iron Man out of the way here. Our action figure for reference. And let's go ahead and cut this piece out. Okay. I'll give that a little glue, and then we're going to go back and start sticking pieces together. That is our ultimate objective here. Not just gluing, but attaching before they start gluing themselves together. Okay, so let's start with I like to start with the bigger pieces here. And that's looking pretty good. Seems a little wet in a couple spots, but I think overall it's dry enough. I'm actually going to move this over to the side so I can work over the table and you can actually see what's going on. So I'll start here, down at the bottom of the cap piece. Now these pieces have some pretty steep cuts. We've talked about that before as far as my cut angles. Again, I'm not a fan of going back and working the angle with the Dremel tool if we can get the cut at the right angle in the first place. But this has to be 90 degrees when these two pieces are joined together. So that makes for some pretty extreme cuts. So again, working on the outside of the seam first. I'll move this over here so you can see that. To make sure we've got good alignment. Again, I'm moving these pieces here so they won't accidentally bump them into each other and then come back later and they're glued to each other. That's one thing if that's where they go, but in most cases I don't think we're going to get that lucky. Okay. Now this front here, actually we're going to cut it straight across once we get both sides glued on, and then bevel it so there's a sharp angle where it caps the end of this. So we're just going to kind of let it hang in the breeze there for now. Alright, so there you see we got a nice sharp 90-degree angle on our piece once they're glued together. Alright, I'm going to come back, we're going to grab this piece here. I'm going to start right back here. Now I've got a piece here that transitions from a gradual angle to that more extreme angle. So when we lay this piece in here, which you'll see later, it actually completes this ledge here, which we will use to glue on top of another piece. Alright. So once again, just working from the outside edge of our seam. We're going to work our way around to the front. And again, just leave this piece hang out there like that. Okay? Now, as long as we're here, so these pieces again don't glue themselves together prematurely, I'm going to go ahead and mark where this overhang begins on either side. And I'll grab my straight edge and I'll complete the line. And then we'll take our knife and I'm going to cut at an angle going in because I want it to be a mountain cut, so I'll have to do the same thing on the other piece, but at least we'll get one of these angles cut properly as we take that end piece off. So just like that. There we go. And I'm going to mark this so I know which side goes where. Alright, so we've cut our end off, as you can see. Alright, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut that angle in on the other side. Take out our wedge. So after we put some glue on here, we'll just lay it right back in there. Alright, so there we go. Set that aside to dry. And now you can see we've got, once that end cap gets in there, we've got one of our shoulder rails completed. So let's go ahead and do the other one. Same thing. Just lay that aside there. Grab this piece and this one. So we'll start here. Okay, that takes us right up to the end. I'm going to go ahead and mark this here ahead of time, and then we'll put in our other side. Same thing. Work our way around. Now it looks like actually we made our cut a little bit too far in. So this piece actually wound up too far back. I'm going to go ahead, and I think what we'll do is, let's see, we can do one of a couple of things. If I leave this in here like this, the problem that it creates is it's going to put the curve too far back. So I'm going to show you how to take a piece of foam off that you glued without destroying the piece. So, remember when I told you before, when you're working with contact cement, to always do your heat tasks first. And the reason is because heat applied to a contact seam, contact glue seam, will actually loosen it. So now this is going to work to our advantage. So we're just going to hit this with a little heat. Let me jump back down to the table here. The piece is kind of small, so we got to heat it up and then get in there quickly. And again, keep in mind, I mean, if you wind up destroying a piece, it's no big deal. As we've said before, it's just foam. You can go back, cut in a couple more pieces of foam, and we're right back where we started. Fortunately, this seems to be pulling off just nicely. As you can see, hopefully you can see, it's coming apart. Try not to get your fingers in the way of the heat, because it can get a bit toasty. We don't want to melt our fingertips at all. I'm going to come from this end now. Give that a second to cool off down there. Don't get in too much of a hurry, because you will tear your foam if you pull on it before it's ready to come apart. And just like that. A little bit of heat, a little bit of patience, and we've pulled our foam piece off of our glue seam. Now, it's probably sticky enough that we could just go right back in there. I'm going to actually start from the front this time, since the back is a little questionable about where it goes exactly. I'm just going to lay this right back in here. And that glue is, as I said before, we just warmed it up. We didn't eliminate it. So it's still sticky. As you can see, it's going right back together nicely. Okay, coming around the bend here toward the back. There we go. So, with a little bit of heat, we took the piece off and moved it to where it was supposed to go, and then put it right back in place. Alright, so just like that, everything is proceeding as forward as planned. I've got a couple of vent marks. I'm going to just go ahead and cut these panel lines in. Should have done this before we glued it together, but these are small enough and far enough away from the edge, I think we'll be fine. So let's go ahead and heat those up. Get them to open up for us a little bit. Okay, so there's one, as you can see. And if I'm not mistaken, we've got one on this side over here too, so let's go ahead and do this one. Alright, panel lines in place. Now, we've got this end that we cut off earlier. From here, we're going to go ahead and put this back in where it goes. Nope. You know what? Helps to put glue here too. We glued one side, but we didn't glue the other. So let's take care of that. Alright, we'll give that a little more glue on the ends. And then same thing here, a little on the side. And we'll set it aside and let it dry another minute or two. Now, as long as we're in the business of getting these ends situated, let's go ahead and trim this side off like we did the other side. And make that cap as well. Alright, I'm going to mark this again, just so we remember which side we're dealing with. When it comes to gluing it back together, this time, we're going to remember to glue this side as well. Remember, contact cement only works if there's glue on both surfaces. You can try all day to get it to stick to the other side, but if there's no glue on that other side, it won't work. Alright, now, to complete our outer shoulder rail build, we're going to need to take these pieces and attach the shoulder rail to those pieces. Alright, and tell you what, I'll move that one over there. This is the one that attaches to this rail. Okay, so I'm going to give this a little bit of a curve, just kind of give it an advantage here. Rolando, welcome. We are making the back piece for our Mark IV. Alright, so that's what we're going to wind up with when we're done. Okay. Tell you what, I'm going to angle this camera just a smidge more. That should help you see a little bit more of the table. Realize you're only getting part of what I'm doing here. So once again, I'm going to put some glue along this edge here. And then we're going to put it in place here. So we're going to need to glue up both of those sides. So I'm going along the top here. This is kind of an interesting connection here. It glues on the sides here, and then on the top here, the way that we have this set up, and then down here. So it kind of nestles in there, creates a bit of a transition as the pieces come together. It's minor, but effective when you see it all put together. Alright, so that's our primer layer on those two pieces. Let's go ahead and get a primer layer on these pieces here. And I think what might actually be advantageous is if we go ahead and attach these pieces to the rails as well. So let's go ahead and set these edges up at the same time. Those come down to here. It'll be easier to put these in first than to try and glue them in later. Not that it would be impossible, but why not make it easier on yourself if you can, right? Alright, so there's that one. I'm going to lay him right there. That needs a little more glue. So let's go ahead and get this one set up. Alright, we'll lay that one there. This is the piece for the other side, which we did prime earlier. So now we're just getting the glue on there that makes it stick. Set him right there. And then same thing. We'll prep these edges here. And then down the back here. Alright. Some of those are primer layers, some of those are ready layers. So we'll have to go back and hit the primer layers with one more coat. But in the meantime, these are ready to attach to the front. So let's go ahead and cap these. Right there like that. I'm going to attach it on the top first and then just roll it over to attach it to the sides. And there you go. We have our end cap on our shoulder rails. We'll trim it all up to look a little prettier later, but for now, that is acceptable. I'll move over and do the other side. again, we have our shoulder rail capped on the other side. Okay, groovy. Yes, I actually just said groovy. Alright. These are dry, so we'll need another coat of glue on these. Right. There's those. These, if I remember correctly, had plenty of glue. So let's check. Actually, I think everything's sticking to everything else here. Let's check these edges here and see. Yeah, those are a little dry, so let's give them one more coat. There's that. And we'll continue down. I think that one is ready once that glue dries. And then same thing over here. There we go. Alright, as soon as those all dry, we're ready to put it all together. In the meantime, let's jump over here and grab these pieces, which we did apply some glue to earlier. That was just our primer layer. Yeah, we're going to need a little more here. These are pieces that come in on the kidneys. I'll call these the kidney plates. They've got a little bit of a unique shape to them. That's the reason that we have a cut in this the way that it does. So when we glue this cut together, it'll make the kidney plates take on the shape that we want. All right, so there's that one. And there's this one. Okay, we'll let those dry, and then in a few minutes we'll put those together too. Alright, how are we doing here? That's looking pretty dry. Let's see what we got over here. That's still a little damp. And that's still a little damp, so we're kind of in a position where we got to wait for some of these pieces to dry. While we're doing that, again, let's try to keep things moving. And this is the boring part, believe me. No immediate reward, but when you do it and then you paint. What do you think about doing? Well, I've heard with different colors, but it's best doing one piece like that, glue, sand, and then paint. Well, yeah. I mean, when you paint, so my thoughts on that are this, and you know, you can do it any way you like, but I would paint everything at one time because depending on weather conditions. You know, paint sometimes comes out a little bit differently, And I don't know, it depends on what kind of space you have to work with too. You know, some people can't set up a dedicated area to paint all the time. So yeah, I like to work in stages. Cut all the foam, I'll trace all the foam first, and then I'll cut all the foam, and then I'll sit down and glue it all together. Just kind of different thought processes, I guess, too. But some people like to do it the way that you're talking about, because they like to mix it up. You know, keeps it interesting for them that way. I could see that too. You know, the real payoff for me is when I enjoy the process, but I probably enjoy even more the final stages when I start seeing everything come together. Like when you're sitting and tracing and cutting foam or any material, that's got to be the most boring part of it all for me. But when you get to this stage and you're gluing everything together, and you know, you got piles of Ironman parts laying around you that are fully assembled, and you're like, okay, we're getting somewhere. I'm starting to see some progress. And then that just kind of, you know, motivates you to keep going, keep pressing forward. And if the painting, for me, in this case, is the stage that I look forward to the most, when you start doing the paint, the detail, and then the electronics, when you start getting close to that stage, then it kind of adds a little fuel to the fire, so to speak, because you know you're nearing the end of the build, and then you're not too far away from actually putting it on and flying. Alright. But yeah, I mean, you know, hey, there is no right or wrong way, there's just the way that you prefer. And this is my preferred way. Some people will agree, and some people will be like, no, do it a piece at a time, like what you're talking about. Alright, I think these pieces are ready to attach. That one's dry, and this one's dry. Let's go ahead and, actually it's a little damp here in the corner, but that's okay. Paper towel will pull out that extra glue. And now, I'm going to attach it up here first, and then down the side. It is sticky. Okay, and then this piece here, if it had glue on it, would lay right in here, but it doesn't, so we need to put glue on it. I missed that, and I missed it on the other piece too, which means we'll have to add some glue to the other piece on the end. Yep. There we go. And there we go on this one. Alright, we'll come back to that one after it's dry. In the meantime, let's grab this piece here. Actually, let's cap our glue first. Oop, wrong piece. And that glue's still a little wet in there, but we can at least get this edge glued together. Alright, so there's that. Okay, so that's what we have here on our shoulder rail. We'll wait for these to dry, and then we'll just bump it over and attach it. And then we'll attach these pieces. So we need a couple more minutes on those. While we're waiting, let's see what we got here. These go like this. And you know what? We'll attach those after we're done gluing these centers together. All right, I think these are probably ready to go ahead and glue together, and they are. So I'm going to start here from the inside. Line my outer seams up first, which is going to pull the foam a little bit. Make it a little concave here on top. Okay. But as you'll notice, our cut, our V, is on the back, which means we need to push it now this direction, which, as you can see, and I told you earlier, this was kind of a unique shaped piece. After we glue that together, that's kind of the angle that we get. And then after we glue this into the back plate, it'll make even more sense how it lays. But for now, we're just going to glue it together. And set it aside until we're ready to put it in to the rest of the suit. Again, what we're doing here is we're building substructures and then gluing the major substructures all into one bigger structure. Keeps it simple. Alright, so there's that piece for the other side. Set that up over there. Alright, I think these are probably ready to attach. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and rock that over there like that. So now that's what we're left with, along with a little paper towel fragments there. A little bit of an indent down here, but that's okay. That's the way it's supposed to be. Same thing on this piece. Okay. So now you can kind of see we've got the beginning of our shoulder rails. This is where these sit, like this. I'm looking at the camera trying to line it up, but you get the point. Oh, this one's too low. Sits right about here. Okay? And looks like that from the back. So anybody that's seen a Mark IV suit, you know where we're headed. Alright, back to the table. Because the next item up are these pieces here, which we have prepped. And I just realized we need some glue here. So let's go ahead and do that now. Make it easy on ourselves later trying to put this together. Alright, same thing on both sides. That dry. Probably need another quick layer, and then we'll be able to stick it all together and then move on down the road. start putting these pieces in, which actually we're going to need. Tell you what, let's go ahead and glue up these other edges while we're waiting for those first ones to dry. And then that way when we go to attach everything and when we're ready, it'll be ready. Okay, so there's that. I believe these are glued. Yes, they are. There's a good layer of glue on that one. I think we're good here too. So all we're really waiting for now is for the rest of these pieces to dry. Yep, got some good tack there. Gonna need a little curve on this. Let me get this curved up ahead of time. Alright, it's a little dry on the edge, so let's go ahead and hit it with our second coat, and then we'll be ready to put it together. I just realized we don't have glue in there. Let's put some glue in there too. That'll be necessary for our other pieces to attach. Okay. I think we're good up here. We've glued that a couple of times. This is still a little damp over here, so we'll wait just another minute. Alright. And then these pieces, actually, if I remember correctly, yeah, these lay in, where do these go? These go on the outside. Let's grab our action figure and double check. Tell you what, we're going to wait on that. I'm pretty sure there needs to be glue in here, but I forget how it orients itself with these other pieces, so let's just give that a second. And we'll start attaching these pieces here. In fact, let's go ahead and start doing that now. So, again, I'm going to apply a little bit of a curve to this one, so it's easier for me to put it where it needs to go. I'm going to start down here. Alright, so that piece locks in right there at the base of our shoulder rail. And we're just going to continue up the side. I have a reference line drawn in here, so it'll be easy for me to line up where it goes. Right up to the edge. Alright, got it lined up. So let's go ahead and lock it down. Now, because we had a cut that went a little too far, you remember earlier that we moved the piece on this side here, we've got a little bit of a gap, so I'll fill that in with some scrap later. But for now, for the most part, you can see here that we've got our shoulder rail now attached to the outer portion of our back plate. Alright, and then same thing down here, laying on the inside, which now this creates an area where these other pieces, like this for example, lay into place. So I'll tell you what, since we're right here and I have the piece in my hand, let's go ahead and put it where it goes. Okay, on down the side here. Alright, again, there's a little bit of an indent there, but it's supposed to be. Alright, and then up here on the outside, I'm trying to turn this so you can see it as we do it. Just like that. Alright, so that's where that piece goes. Kind of see this coming together now. Okay, now this piece here indents a little bit lower than this piece. So we've got kind of a stair-step effect here. So it drops down from here to here, and then we're going to drop down from here to this piece. Just a little bit lower. Not much. Just enough to create that layered look. Okay, and there we go. That's where that piece lays. Alright, so we've got it lined up where we want it. We're going to go back and make sure all of our gaps are closed up. And now that I remember where this piece goes, this piece lays in here like this and completes the side of our back. So, now that we know where it goes, let's go ahead and mark how far up our glue needs to go. Right there. We're going to hit that with some glue, and then while it's drying, we'll go over and work on the other side. And assemble that side. Alright, we got plenty of glue here, but I'm just going to hit it once more. This one is our primer, so we'll have to come back to that. Set that aside. And then, of course, we need to give this a layer here. There we go. Alrighty. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give this a primer layer as well, which gets us just a step ahead of the game. And there we go. And we'll set that aside. Same as this one. Alright, as we did the other side, we're going to go ahead and stick this one together now. Again, I'm going to start back here, where I know these pieces have to lock together. Okay, so we get that lined up the way that we want, and we just continue on up the side. Okay, I know you can't really see, so let me bring it back over to the table. Okay, and there you go. That's where that goes. So now we'll go ahead and make it permanent by locking it down, pressing it into place. Alright. Now I'm going to look at the other side here for reference, just to make sure that we get everything at the same depth, so it looks symmetrical. Go in just a little bit here. And take that down the center. Okay. And we'll go ahead and finish our connection up here at the top, and then drop this piece in along the bottom. Alright, so I pull it apart like this to attach the bottom, and then now we'll bring it back in to create that indent like we did on the other side. Okay, right up to there. So again, we've got that staircase effect. Top, middle, bottom. Alright. Need a little bit of glue here. And then once we attach the side wings, so to speak, we'll actually be able to join these two together in the center. Alright, let's see how we're doing on this one here. We're going to set that aside to dry. I think we need just one more layer of glue right here. All these other pieces have had a lot of glue applied, so we don't need to put more on there. But I am going to give these another layer. Okay, and of course the other side. Like so. Another swig of Ironman coffee here. And we're almost ready. I can't remember. I think we need a little more glue there. And then actually we're gonna need some glue here on these surfaces. So let's go ahead and get ourselves set up for success here as well. that dry. And then we're just about ready, I think. Actually, we are ready, but I'm going to try and do this without sticking my fingers in the glue that we just put down. So we want to attach these pieces to our center structure. Again, without touching the glue that we just put down. I should probably wait, but you know what? I think we'll do all right. So again, to complete this indent, and let me just show you on our reference figure here what I'm talking about. You see here in the back, those little gold indents. All right, you can't, I don't know if you can tell here or not, but they're actually a bigger camera so you can see it bigger. All right, you see how they kind of indent? All right, well that's what we're creating by adding this piece on the outside that we're doing now. This completes the indent. So we want to make sure that we get it lower than this piece. All right, it's going to be slightly lower than this piece, but above this piece. So there's a little bit of wrangling that needs to take place here. Just going to spread it open a little bit. Tell you what, we'll attach the top first. There we go. So we got a little staircase effect here. And then we'll come down here and attach the bottom. It's just a little bit more difficult as you get more pieces glued together because the structure on the upside gets stronger. But then it gets a little bit more resistant to your attempts to try and move things around, stretch and pull and bend. But it can be done, as you can see. So we've got our indent. I'm trying to move it over here where you can see it. And then we've got that stepping effect on all the pieces that we want. To the degree of stepping that we want. This bottom here, we'll just trim this off even later when we pair it up with the chest plate. Alright, but this left side of our back plate is completed. Let's go ahead and attach our piece to the right side. We'll set that aside over here. Same thing. I think this one might actually work better because I'm coming at it from a different angle. There we go. Or maybe not. All of these seams are kind of fresh, so and not cured, so they're having a tendency, the tension that I'm putting on them is they're trying to pull each other apart. But as you can see, we got our indent again. Alright, so all that's left now is to attach these to our center pieces and of course let the glue cure, but then we'll be ready to move on. So this piece goes first. This is our top piece. So we're going to attach this in here. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to get it lined up properly on one side, and then we'll attach the other side. lays in here like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw a reference line here. I'm going to cut this straight across. Put this in as two pieces, because it will actually attach more easily, and there is a stair-step effect that occurs between these two pieces that if we don't cut it, we're not going to get. So let's go ahead and just cut this piece off. Okay. What I like to do sometimes is just flip it over and line it up on the back like this. If I get it lined up back here, then I know it'll be square on the front too when I attach the other side. So there's that piece. And then we've got one more piece. There it is. That goes down the side here. Again, line it up. Now you're going to find that this curves a little bit. That's okay. Just follow the curve with your piece, and when we bring it all together, it'll straighten it right out. Alright, so there's what we have for our center joiner. Okay, and you can see we got kind of a little staircase effect going on here. And we'll take our other side. And then again, squaring it all up, if we attach them square with our center piece, it'll line them up automatically. Again, we've got multiple pieces glued together now, so our structure is getting stronger, which makes wrangling this a little bit more of a challenge, but a little bit of patience, and remember, you're the boss, so make that foam do what you want it to. And the emphasis, of course, is be patient. As you draw these sides in here, make sure that they attach to your centerpiece. And then once you get it lined up the way you want, double check. And then burnish it down to make that connection as permanent as you can. And just like that, we have our back plate for our Mark IV. Yay! So, there will be a test. I hope you all were following along. Again, we'll trim this all at the bottom. I make the pieces longer so we can trim it to fit. And I'm kidding, of course. There won't be a test. The real test is whether or not you can duplicate this on your suits. Now that we've got this done, and we have our chest plate done, we'll team the two up together, and you'll have the upper half of your, or your upper third, if you will, of your Mark IV Ironman suit. And of course, we'll show you how to strap all this together as we move forward. But the next stage of strengthening this back plate is to take your hot glue gun. Now this is definitely, this and the chest plate, inside the chest plate for sure. I haven't actually done it or walked you through it because it's kind of tedious and boring. But basically what you want to do is, once these glue seams have cured, I'd probably give them, let them sit overnight. or at least a couple 3 hours. Let them get a good cure, and then take your hot glue and run a bead of hot glue all along these edges on the inside. Okay, where you see these along the centerpiece everywhere, which will give you a good deal of reinforcement in your structure. Okay, in your overall build. And again, there's some trimming here I need to do up front to get everything to sit properly and to look properly. Look proper, I should say. But there you go. I guess I could model it. Alright, so there's our back plate. It will sit lower once it's attached to the front, to the chest plate. So, hopefully that was helpful. It is 1 o'clock, which means we are going to end this stream. We will be back this afternoon. We'll be back this afternoon, 4 to 6 will be our next stream. I'm going to go and do some painting on another Mark IV, bring those pieces in and show them to you a little later. Subscribe if you're not already a fan. Share with other people that you think might enjoy this or get something out of it. And as always, James here with Laughing Dragon Foundries. We do stream on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere that we can, and we're here to help you guys be better builders. Obviously, that's kind of our mission. There is a group attached to this page called Foam Club, so if you haven't joined that, by all means do so. That's where you can show off what you're doing. And like I said, we'll be back this afternoon from 4 to 6. Appreciate you joining us this morning. As always, keep your glue hot and your hopes high. Yes, Tyler. Actually, every one of these live streams, since we've been working on this and some other stuff, is on YouTube. So it's Laughing Dragon Foundries on YouTube as well. In fact, if you are a fan of Laughing Dragon Foundries, I've got a post pinned at the top of the page that tells you the destination of where we're streaming and our stream schedule, which is Thursday nights 6 to 8, and then Saturdays, obviously we're wrapping this one up, but it's 11 to 1 in the mornings, and then I break for the afternoon, and then we come back from 4 to 6 Saturday afternoons. So, alrighty, well, it's been a pleasure seeing you guys. Thanks for stopping by, and like I said, we'll be back from 4 to 6, and we'll pick up where we left off. Alright, take care, talk soon.